friends, this is the Organizer Advisor with my special friend Peach Moon here, and we're going to share with you today our best tips, tricks, strategies, and suggestions on how to organize all of our pet paraphernalia. Now, I'm going to cover a lot of information in this because I'm not going to just talk about the organizing and cleaning the items. I'm also going to share with you a lot of pet care tips that I've learned over the years being a very involved pet person and animal wildlife rehabilitator. So grab your hydration beverage and let's have a sip and a sit while I share with you all of my secrets on taking care of pets.
I can see the stars align, dance around the moon every night, and now my eyes are open wide, and the sky has never looked so bright. Now I don't need to see the road to believe, yeah, 'cause this is where I'm meant to be, I believe. And I feel the magic everywhere. It's all around us, it's in the air, and I see the magic.
Okay, so this is Peach Moon. She's my little French bulldog, one of the 5 Frenchies that I have. So Peach Moon is a blue fawn pie Frenchie covered in cream. Sounds complicated, doesn't it? But the reason she's called Peach Moon is because she's this beautiful creamy color, but when you see her back, she has little spots and she looks just like the full moon. So her name is Peach Moon, and she is a peach. She can be a little loud, so forgive her in advance if she gets a little snorty during the video. All right, so I just want to share with you, we love our pets. And we have all of these pet things. We purchase pet stuff. They're so darn cute. They're impulsive. We have pet fashion. I mean, I even have a Frenchie watch. So we are obsessed with our pets. So much so that in the United States, the average person spends over $1,000 a year. And that's only if they have 1 or 2 pets. Can you imagine someone like me who has birds, horses, chickens, fish, a cat, dogs? So you can imagine how much money one spends on food. The pet food industry is over $100 billion dollars, like billion in birds, dollar industry annually in the United States. Globally, it is over $230 billion industry. Most people in the United States, 2 out of 3, have a pet. So you can imagine we have entire pet stores dedicated to pet paraphernalia. And because we love our pets so much and we want to really know that we're taking the best care of them, we tend to overspend on our pets. So we end up with a lot of pet items and pet products. So I'm going to share with you some of my best advice on how to keep these items healthy for your pet, how to keep them clean and odor-free, and then how to organize them. So the first thing that we do when we're organizing anything on my process is we go gather. We gather all of the stuff we have, and if you can see, I have toys, dishes, coats, blankets, clothing, paperwork, medications, bedding, you name it, it's here. So I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit at a time. The next thing that we do is we group them. So you might want to group them by grooming products, clothing, leashes. Now I'm going to focus on mainly dogs and cats, but you know I have birds, so I'm going to, at the end of the video, or during the video, I'm going to go through some of the my suggestions for helping keep your other animals healthy and happy in your home. So, all right, Now that we've gathered and now that we've grouped them, now we're going to go through them and we're going to make sure that these items and products are still good. So I'm going to just start going through some of the categories that I have. They may be different than the ones you have, but there is something to learn for everyone here. So make sure you stay to the end, because I'm going to share with you some really good tips that I have learned just being an animal person and doing a lot of rescue and a lot of rehab. So there's a lot of things I've learned, especially when you have dedicated your life to animal care. Okay, so we're going to start with our sweet animal first. Now you want to make sure that you groom your animal frequently. Bathing so they smell nice, and it also helps to keep their oil on their fur under control. Animals produce oil just like humans do, so if you don't wash your hair very frequently, it's going to get oily and smelly. Well, the same thing with your animal. So the other thing is that oil can then accumulate on their bedding, and so when they go to lay on the bedding, it makes them itch, just like your head itches when you haven't frequently washed your hair. It's the same thing with your pet. So you want to groom, and while you're grooming, you want to make sure that you're looking for the condition of your pet. You want to make sure that your pet isn't gaining too much weight. In a dog or a cat, it's very easy to tell, because if you can't feel their ribs, and if they don't have a waistline, then your animal's probably a little too portly. You may want to increase their exercise and decrease their food by about a quarter. So if you feed a cup of food at a feeding, you may want to reduce it to 3/4 of a cup. Now, if your animal is absolutely ravenous, that you have cut their food back a quarter and they're like still super hungry, and you feel this tug of guilt and saying, oh, I'm starving my animal. No, you're not. You're putting them on a little bit of a diet, but you can also, for dogs, you can add a little bit of green beans to their food. So I just get a handful of frozen green beans, warm them up in some warm water, pour the water and the beans over the food, and then that way they're getting more protein, which is going to make them feel fuller longer, and it's going to help them decrease their calories. It's also important that your animal get exercise. So let's finish the grooming. You'll also want to look at their teeth and their ears and make sure that their teeth are clean. Now, here's a couple of suggestions. You can buy toothbrushes. You can clean your dog's teeth. Look how pretty. Let me just show you. We're so proud of our teeth. Look how pretty those beautiful teeth are. That's healthy. And that's a healthy mouth. And you want your dog, their oral health to be good, just like you want yours to. Now with cats, it's a little trickier. Cats are not necessarily thrilled to have their teeth brushed. So instead of brushing their teeth, here's a tip. Get a dog food that is a similar formula as cat food. Such as, let's say you're feeding salmon to your cat for the protein base for the cat food. If you get a salmon-based dog kibble, take a handful or two of that dog kibble and mix it into your cat food container. Or you can just take a little bit of dog kibble and add it to your cat food in the dish, whichever you prefer. And then feed it to your cat. And what this is going to do is those dog kibble chunks are usually a little bigger, so your cat is going to have to chew them, and that's going to help keep the tartar off of their teeth and help their gum health. So a couple of things that you need to know about this strategy. Cats are obligate carnivores. That means they don't eat a whole lot of vegetative matter. Maybe some grass every once in a while, but they don't really need vegetables or fruits. Dogs, on the other hand, are not obligate carnivores. They are primarily a carnivore diet. However, they do require some vegetative matter and some fruit nutrients. So when you purchase a dog kibble, oftentimes that formula does have the vegetative and fruit ingredients. It's okay for your cat to have that periodically, but your cat will not thrive on a dog food formula. Cats require taurine, and many cats have had an awful there have been many cats that have not survived being on a dog food based diet. So when I'm telling you to add a little bit of dog food to your cat food, that is so that they get an occasionally larger piece of kibble to help keep their teeth clean, but it is not as a replacement diet. So just remember that caveat. It's going to be mixed with your cat food. Now let's talk about food. Most animals are on a kibble based diet. I like to rotate the protein source so that they get different amino acids. So from periodically, like every couple of months, then I will start to slowly add in a different type of kibble. You can mix your kibble and just rotate the ingredients. What this does is it develops a really good gut flora bacteria in your dog's intestinal tract, which is where health really resides. It begins in the gut. And another thing I do is I top dress my food. Like when I peel my vegetables or I'm cooking and I have some scraps left over, I pop them into the freezer in a Ziploc bag. When I have enough, I cook them and make like a nice stew, and I add that to my dog's diet. If you have not developed a good healthy gut bacteria, don't do this because your dog will have the runs. But if you are able to feed your dog just about anything, like some table scraps and some home cooked, I like to add some sardines periodically. I like to add egg, some buttermilk. I rotate all of these wholesome, healthy ingredients in order to really develop that healthy gut flora in my dog's diet. You can do the same thing with cats, but you're going to have a lot limited ingredients. They're going to be like protein. So giving your cat some sardines periodically, maybe some egg, maybe a little bit of goat's milk, that will help too. Now, make sure that you are watching your dog's reaction. If your dog has an allergy to a particular food, don't feed them that food, please. Another thing you need to know is that pet food has a shelf life. So when you open that dog kibble or cat kibble, it starts to oxidize immediately. So after about 2 weeks, if that bag is still not used, the oils in that food have oxidized and have often become rancid. Your animal will not eat a food that has gone rancid any more than you're going to eat olive oil that has gone rancid. So they will stop eating. And a lot of times you think, oh, this is a health problem. Sometimes it is, so always have it checked out. But it could also mean that the food that you were feeding was not eaten fast enough and it has gone rancid. In order to not have that problem, if you buy your pet food in bulk, open and you keep out what you're going to use in the next week and put the rest in Ziploc bags and put it in your freezer. And then take out one of those Ziploc bags every week or however often you go through it. That's going to keep those oils from going rancid. It's going to save you a lot of money and probably some vet bills. Okay, so now we're going to go on to some other parts of grooming. So we've talked about checking your dog's ears. Make sure you check their eyes. Make sure there's no inflammation. Their eyes should be nice and white and bright, no red. You see Peach's eyes? See how pretty those are? Make sure their teeth, nice and pretty. I mean, even those back teeth, look, very little tartar on. I don't see if you can see them. Very little tartar. So we've talked about brushing teeth. Now we're going to talk about nail care. It's really important that you keep your dog's nails short. Now, there's multiple ways that you can do this. You use a trimmer like this, or they have the guillotine trimmer, but you can also Dremel your dog's nails. Now, usually you need to start that when your dog is young because they need to get used to the noise of using the Dremel. But you can get a Dremel like Petty Paws that are specifically made for pets, or you can use a Dremel that you have in your garage as long as you do it safely. Now, when you are Dremeling your dog's nails, one of the things that I have learned is if I take these little sticky mats, you can buy these in a pet store, and then I coat them with peanut butter and yogurt, and then I can stick it to the floor or to the refrigerator and make it so that they can, it's at their height and they can lick it. So while they're licking their little mat, I can then be working on the nails. Now, the thing I want to share with you about nails, it's so important that your dog's nails do not touch the floor when they walk. For that, you're going to want to make sure that you don't hear them click. If you're hearing your dog's nails click, they're too long. The reason is if your dog's nails start to hit the floor every time they walk, the weight of their body is going to cause their metatarsals to twist, because the nail is going to hit the floor and it's going to cause the metatarsal to twist. And then that's going to cause pain in the ankle, which is going to cause pain in the elbow, which is going to cause pain in the shoulder, because it has disaligned your whole dog's appendage. And what this is going to do, it's going to create a lot of pain, and it's going to create arthritis. And so that's going to then have long-term orthopedic consequences for your animal. So you want to make sure that you keep the nail short. Now, if you're talking about a cat or a bird, for a cat, if I need to trim my cat's nails, you can buy a special little hood that just slips over their head, has a little place for them to be able to breathe, and you can use your trimmers and just trim the cat nails. If you're going to bathe your cat, which I do periodically, I bathe in the fall right before the weather starts to turn cooler, so that they can be outdoors get nice and dry, and before the winter. And I definitely recommend trimming your cat's nails before you bathe them. Now, if your cat's not used to being bathed, it's probably best to take them to a groomer, because they're gonna have a conniption fit. So, birds, if you're gonna trim your bird's nails, it's really important you do that. You can buy special perches that have sandpaper on them, or have an abrasive substance. They're made out of an abrasive substance that when your bird is sitting on them and just kind of moving about, it helps to file the nails down. If you need to trim your bird's nails, you can use a little cloth, hold them very carefully, and then just trim the nails, making sure you don't trim the quick. While we're talking about birds, also check their beak. If their beak is too long, it makes it difficult for them to eat. They can actually starve to death. So you want to make sure that the beak is appropriately trimmed. If you've never trimmed a bird beak, you can use fingernail clippers, or take them to a vet that specializes in birds. Okay, so I think we've covered kind of some of the grooming. Now, when you are taking care of your pet grooming supplies, check the products that you're using, shampoos, conditioners, dry shampoo, whatever. Make sure that it passes the smell test. If it smells rancid, don't use it on your pet, because it's going to make your pet itch. So use your products. My advice, use your products before you buy new products, so that everything has a shelf life. And when it comes to products, grooming products, food products, personal care products, cleaning products, they all have a shelf life. So make sure that the products that you're using on your animal are in good condition and not rancid, because the oils and all of that stuff is going to smell bad if it's not, and you don't want to use that on your pet. So brushes, you want to use your brushes. I like to give my dogs a little visual inspection while I'm brushing. Like to make sure there are no spots where I can see any kind of itching. Dogs are prone to ringworm, so you just want to check. You can check their weight. Just make sure that you don't see anything of concern while you're grooming your dog. It's a great time to bond with your animal, but also it is a great way for you to give them just a little quick physical exam. Okay? So when you're finished grooming, you want to clean your grooming supplies, the brushes, the combs, all of those things. What you want to do is you want to wash them in warm soapy water with a very mild soap, and make sure you rinse really, 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 really well, so that you don't have any product remaining on your grooming supplies. I let them air dry very well. I like a sunny day where I can put them out in the sun and just let them air dry. And then when they're completely dry, you can put them back in your bin, basket, or box, whatever you're going to store them in. A couple of things about the nail trimmers. In order to keep your nail trimmers working really well, you need to oil them occasionally. You can use a little bit of sewing machine oil or cloth oil. These do not break down, and they don't get gunky. So that will help to keep, just make sure you wipe off any excess so it doesn't get on your dog when you go to use your dog or your cat. Okay? So make sure that you're washing the brushes, combs, all of those things, because if you don't, it's just going to collect oil. You're just going to redeposit oil back on your dog, especially after you just bathed them, right? Okay, so I think that's all of the grooming. Let's talk about leashes, collars, harnesses. Now, you want to make sure these are clean too, especially on the inside, because when you are using these, this is where the oil is going to develop, and if you don't wash it periodically and get all that oil off, it's going to redeposit on your dog, and it's going to make your dog or your cat itch. So you want to wash these. Now, the way I wash these is you can just put them in a bin of warm soapy water and then rinse them really, really well and then air dry them. Or if you just like, you know, who's got time for that? You can just toss them into a mesh laundry bag and you can just seal that up, throw it into the washer, use mild detergent and rinse twice. Take them out, let them air dry, and they're going to smell better, they're going to be healthier for your pet, and they're going to look better too. They're not going to look dirty and dingy. Speaking of, you want to make sure that the handles where you hold the leashes are nice and clean. If they're not, it's just going to be dirty. That's going to deposit on you, and then when you go to touch your face or your mouth, then that dirt and bacteria is going to get all over you. So keep them clean. I like to just wash them once a month when I wash, you know, pet bedding and all my pet paraphernalia. Here's another tip for these clasps. You want to oil those as well. You can use that sewing machine oil or the clock oil that I know we already have on hand. You just want to put a drop in there and then make the mechanism, move the mechanism so that it's nice and smooth. This is going to save you time, especially if you're in a big hurry to get your dog out of the dog park because maybe an aggressive dog came in. You want to go ahead and make sure that you can leash up your dog in a hurry and that the mechanism works. So I like to keep a spare leash in my car, and I keep one hanging by the door, so in case I just want to go to a spontaneous walk, I've got everything I need. But you can have, there's all kinds of cute little wall hooks now and hangers that you can hang your leashes on. You can have a little like fanny pack for your poop bags, all of those things, because we want to be responsible when we're talking about our pets. Okay, so another thing I want to talk about is some things that you can do. Oftentimes we have dogs that have anxiety, and especially if like there's a big change going on, like say you're having some remodeling on your house, you're going to have house guests, or there's going to be a holiday with loud noises such as New Year's, Chinese New Year, 4th of July with the fireworks. That can create some stress for your pet. Now, if your pet has extreme stress or separation anxiety, you need to talk to your vet. You might need to get some medication, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But another thing that you can do is you can provide your dog some stress relieving activities. Take them for a really long walk or run before you know that kind of loud noise or that change is going to take place. Exercise is really important for your animals, so make sure that it's actually good for you and your pet. So that's why Saturdays I have dedicated family outdoor fun and pet day. Take your dog for a walk, get out and do something. People that have pets actually get more exercise because they are more inclined to take their dog for a walk than they are to take a walk for themselves. So that's how much we love our pets. Now, if your dog is really, really super stressed out, or you're maybe going to be gone a long time, let's say you've got an appointment after work and you know you're going to be gone longer, you can provide your dog something to chew on or to lick. Now, what I like to do is I like to get a Kong. I like to make a stuffing with peanut butter, yogurt. I throw some cat kibble or some dog treats in there, and then I take it, I put it into a zip top bag, and I put it in the freezer. And the reason I put it in a zip top bag, because I don't want it leaking out all over my freezer. But if I know I'm going to be gone long, or there's going to be some noise, I'm going to give this to my dog in their crate or in their personal space. It's really important that your dog have a safe place that is comfortable for them, that they can retreat to when they are overstressed. Give this to your dog. The licking action of that, having to lick in order to get all that frozen yummy out of there, and they're only going to lick a little bit at a they won't be able to chew it out. And it's going to be comforting because the cold is going to comfort them, but also the licking action is going to help relieve stress. So that's a little piece of advice. If your dog takes medications, you want to have a schedule for your daily or monthly meds. So my dogs take monthly flea, tick, and heartworm meds. They get that at the very end of the month during my monthly reset, and that's when they all get bathed, that's when their leashes get washed, that's when they all get, all their bedding gets washed, all of their pet paraphernalia gets washed, except for their dishes. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so let's go back to medications. You want to store your medications in a safe storage device that is lockable, that you can put in a place that is away from your pets and young children in the house. This is a must-do if you have medications in your home. So another thing that I like to do is periodically, usually when I do my every nook and cranny cleaning, I just go through and check the expiration dates. If I have medications that are expired, then I go ahead and safely dispose of them. We do not flush medications down the toilet anymore. I do have a video on medications in the Organized to Utilize that gives you the suggestions on how you can safely dispose of medications, both human and animal meds. I also like to keep my meds in a zip top bag, and this I write the medication and what it's for and the expiration date. That way I'm not having to read little labels. If you do have to read labels, and you have limited, vision as you get older, put a pair of glasses in your box where you keep your medicine storage device. That way you're not searching for glasses. So just get an extra pair of inexpensive readers or something that you can see well with and put them in there. But also just make sure that you check the meds and make sure that you have what they're for and the name of the meds, and then you can write the expiration date. All of your meds should be safely stored again, so a locking box on a high shelf is preferable. Time for a sip. Okay, so speaking of meds, we take our dogs, cats, and small animals, even our large animals, to the vet periodically for their annual exam, for their shots. Some counties require dog licenses, and almost every state in the United States requires your domestic pets, dogs and cats, to have a rabies vaccine administered by a vet. Now, you need to keep records of that. You also want to keep records of any kind of vet visit, any kind of vaccine protocol, your worming and medication protocols, if you have adoption papers, if you have purchase papers, if you have care manuals, if you show your animals, then you have all of that documentation, registration from whatever animal organization you belong to. So we need a way to store all of this. So you can store them in file folders under each type of animal, or you can have a binder with dividers for each of your pets. But you want to make sure that you're keeping all of their vet records, vaccine records. Periodically, you want to go ahead and do an animal care audit where you're looking at the vaccine records, and you have either in your phone or your agenda when your animals are due again for their vaccines. This is my horse's vet records, and when he was last wormed, the worming formula that I use, and then also he has to have a copy of his Coggins test. So when the vet comes out, I have the vet records, the copy of the Coggins test. So in the case, if I'm traveling with my horse, I have to have record of that Coggins. Now, Like I said, you can keep these in your filing system, or you can have an individual binder that has all of your pets in one location. Keep that someplace close to your pet paraphernalia, so that when you are going through your pet items, you can check those vet records and you have everything on hand, especially your proof of rabies. So check your local ordinances on licensing requirements and make sure that you keep your dog's vaccines up to date and their worming and medication protocol. Okay, now let's talk about, let's go ahead and talk about food or food dishes. Okay, so of course every animal has to have fresh water. It's a requirement. If you don't provide fresh water to your animal, they can become constipated and get an intestinal blockage. The other thing is you need to change the water frequently. That's why we say fresh water, because water, as the dog drinks, the saliva integrates with the water and it will float to the bottom. It will create a biofilm, which is a slimy substance at the bottom of the water dish. And then that it starts to generate bacteria. And if your dog is drinking that with a lot of biofilm in it, it is actually going to make your dog sick. So you don't want that. So you want to wash the dog water dishes or your pet water, any water dish, frequently, so to remove all of that biofilm. I like to use hot soapy water. You can use your Listerine, and once you wash it, go ahead and put Listerine in the bottom, swish it around, and give it a good rinse. For your food dishes, kind of the same principle. You need to wash your dishes and sterilize them frequently, because again, that saliva gets in the bottom of the dish when your animal is eating, and then that generates bacteria. And then as your animal eats out of that, they're ingesting the bacteria, but it also gets on their muzzle, and your dog particularly will develop acne. So we want to make sure that their food is fresh and their water is fresh and their dishes are cleaned and sterilized frequently. Okay, let's move on to bedding. It's really important you wash this periodically. I do mine at my end of the month reset. I have a lot of pet beds throughout my house. That way the dogs can just lay wherever they're comfortable. Right, Peach? So your pet bedding, you want to make sure that you wash it. I wash it in the washer with mild laundry soap, very mild. Same thing you use for babies, but then I rinse twice. Dogs, especially Frenchies, are very sensitive to the residue, and if you don't rinse it really well or you use a really strong detergent, it is going to create an itching problem in your dog. So you want to wash these. It's going to help them smell better, and what creates that odor is oftentimes the oil from the dog's skin deposits on the bed, and that oil goes rancid, and you smell it and you're like, oh my gosh. That's because that oil from their hair, their skin, has gone rancid, and it's just creating bacteria all over. So you want to make sure your pet bedding smells fresh and that your animal is clean and the bedding is clean. Okay? Same thing for like towels and blankets. You want to make sure that they are clean and fresh smelling, so that none of that dirt and residual oil is deposited back on their fur, and then they lick the fur, and then they can, it can really cause some intestinal issues. Here's a little, this is just a little memory foam mat. This works for dogs, but there are a plethora of dog beds. You can use just about anything. I actually recycled a memory foam mattress. I used an electric knife, carved it up, made covers for them, and then all the dogs had memory foam mattresses all over the place. Okay, so make sure you wash the pet bedding. Make sure the bedding is comfortable for your dog. If you have an older dog, memory foam is really positive for their orthopedic well-being, but most dogs are going to find something that's very comfortable, and they'll claim that space. Like I said, I have dog beds everywhere, and I have dog beds over there. I have dog beds in the bedroom. I have dog beds in the laundry room. I have dog beds in their own little playroom, and I have dog beds all over the place. But that's so everybody can find a place where they are comfortable with the climate, with the lighting, and then that way everybody has a comfortable space to take a nap. All right, let's move on to clothing. Now, many of us have, especially if you live in a colder climate, you may have coats or any kind of clothing. Now, I'm just going to tell you, clothing is just a lot of fun to buy for your pets. It has become a big part of the market, and it's because it's just so darn cute, but it also serves a purpose. Now, in the wintertime, especially if you have a very young puppy, you have to make sure that that puppy is kept warm. If the puppy is outside too long and it gets cold, its body will use all the glucose in its blood system to generate heat, and your puppy will go into hypoglycemic shock. So I like to recommend, just if you have a small dog or a young dog, make sure that if you live in a cold environment where it's really cold and windy, that you have adequate protection for your animal. Even my big dogs, I have winter coats for if it gets like bitter cold. I have winter coats for my horses, and any animal that goes outside, that spends any kind of time outside, has some protection. If your dog has to walk on snow and ice, you want to make sure that you have booties so that their pads don't crack. So we want to make sure that we wash our dog's clothing periodically, make sure that they're nice and comfortable. Oh, I want to say something about leashes or the harnesses and collars. For some dogs, if your dog is a really strong puller, you want to make sure that you're using a harness and not a collar. Or use an anti-pull collar, because if the collar comes right around the neck, and if they start to pull, they start to hit that thyroid. It can really cause some damage. So you want to make sure that, and it can also cause damage to the neck and esophagus. So if your dog is a strong puller and it deters you from going for walks, connect with a good animal trainer or take your dog to a training class so that your dog and you can learn to leash walk, so that is much safer for your dog. If you're going to have a harness on your pet, make sure that it fits comfortably. If it is too tight up under the armpits, it's going to create skin wounds, and those can get infected, and that is going to create some problems. Plus, your dog's not going to want to walk if the harness is too tight or uncomfortable, or if it pinches and bites, just like a saddle on a horse. Okay, so clothing, make sure you're washing periodically. Everything should smell good. Shouldn't smell like wet dog. And make sure that we're removing oil and dirt and all of that. The longer we keep these items looking good, the more we're going to use them. So let's keep them looking and smelling fresh. Okay, a couple of other things. Let's move on to toys. Toys are really important because it's just like with children. There's a safety aspect, and we have to have a storage device. So let's talk about storage first. You want a place to safely store your pet's toys. She said, I don't want a coat on. So you can use a bin, box, or basket, whatever works for you. But I like to use this little dog bin for all the toys. You want to wash the toys. I wash them when I wash the bedding. If they're hard toys, you can wash them in your dishwasher. If they're soft toys, you can wash them in your washing machine. However, if they have like hard plastic parts and stuff, go ahead and use that mesh laundry bag and pop them in there. Here's something really, really important about your dog's toys. Just like children, we need to make sure that there are no plastic sewn-on parts that can create a choking hazard for your dog, like eyes and noses. Those are popular in little stuffed animals, but if they are chewed, if your dog pulls them out, it can become a choking hazard. So it is best for your dog's safety to have sewn-in eyes, sewn-in noses, things that are not going to pull off and become choking hazards. So double check all your pet toys. Make sure that they're safe. There's so many pet toys out there. It's just overwhelming and amazing. Make sure that it is something that your pet enjoys and that is something that you enjoy playing with your pet. There are so many options out there. Find something that works for you and your pet. But wash it frequently so that your dogs, especially if it's a toy they play with their mouth, and this goes for your cat, goes for your birds, all of your indoor animals or outdoor animals, Anything that they put in their mouth needs to be cleaned frequently to minimize the amount of bacteria. Here's the same thing. This is Winston's monkey, and he has just sewn in eyes. They're not plastic parts, which is really important. So let's move on to other items. Now, we have so many other items: crates, carriers, booster seats, stairs. This is Peach's life preserver. These are all things that you want to have in a dedicated space. I have a little area in my home that is my pet storage area. It stores all of my pet areas. So I have, I actually have a china or a wall area, like a china cabinet, and that's where I store all of my books on pet care. That's where I store my medications, all my grooming supplies, all of my coats and leashes and extra harnesses, all of those things, because I want to have one dedicated space. I do not want all of this stuff in cabinets, drawers, and closets all over my house. I want them in one dedicated space so I can find them and use them when I need them. We purchase all of these items for the same reason we purchase things for us. We want them to enhance our pets' lives. And when we enhance our pets' lives, we enhance our life. But if we're not using them, if they're in a drawer, a cabinet, or a closet, and they're not being utilized, they are not fulfilling their intention. So we want to make sure that we have access to these items to utilize them to enhance our pets' happiness and well-being, as well as our own. So find and create that dedicated space. It can be a chest. It can be a particular closet. It can be a storage device that has multiple drawers and layers. Find something that works for you, that you can house all of these things in one location, preferably close to where you're going to spend time with your pet. You're more likely to use your grooming supplies if they're in a place that you're going to be able to be sitting with your pet, where you spend time with your pet. Where did she go? She's right behind me. Where you spend time with your pet so that you're going to utilize those things. Notice I have covers on my couch. I wonder why. Okay, so let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Let's talk about some other types of animals, because I really focused on dogs and cats. As far as your cats are concerned, all the same things apply, but cats usually have litter boxes. It's really important that you scoop that litter daily and that you change the litter periodically. Now, I have seen cats that have been in litter boxes where the litter was not changed frequently enough. It develops a bacteria in the litter from all of the feces and the urine. That cat gets it in the claws, scratches itself, and then they have a really nasty staph infection. So make sure that you're trimming your cat's nails if you feel comfortable doing that, and you're changing that litter frequently. It's also going to help with odor control. Clean your litter box, wash and sterilize periodically. It doesn't have to be done weekly, but it can be done monthly. And maybe change the litter twice a month, or however. I don't know how many cats you have, but just develop a system and protocol and develop it into your weekly cleaning or your monthly cleaning. Okay, so that's cats, dogs. Let's talk about some animals that we keep in habitats. I don't like to use the word cages, because really they're not, they're habitats. So, I have birds. I have my parakeets here. I have my finches there. The same rules apply. Their dishes need to be cleaned and sterilized. They need to have fresh food and water at all times. But you also want to clean their perches. You want to clean their habitat. You want to change the substrate or the material that is at the bottom of their habitat. You want to make sure that they're cleaning toys and nest bedding and wherever they, if you have a ferret, or if you have an animal that likes to sleep in a hammock, you want to make sure you're washing all of those. But kind of the same gist for all of the animals. Do a visual inspection on your animals weekly, just to make sure that there's no problem. If you notice a wound, or if you notice something that is concerning, it's a great idea to go ahead and call your vet. Let's see, if you have like reptiles, same thing applies. Clean and sterilized habitat. dishes and make sure that their substrate is changed frequently. Okay, I covered everything, didn't we, Peach? Okay, I think that's it. If I think of anything else, or if you think of something, please put it in the comments. I sure enjoyed our time today. You can tell I'm really passionate about animals, and I really love talking about caring for them. So please, make sure you're incorporating your animal care into your daily routine, and get out and exercise. Have fun with your animals. It's so important that we share that experience. Animals benefit us in so many ways. They reduce our blood pressure, they reduce our stress. They're great companions and confidants. They also help us get out and get more exercise, and they just uplift us in our mental health and well-being. So we want to make sure we're giving them the best possible care. So I hope this video was helpful. If you learned anything, please put in the comment what you learned. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Like this video if you found it valuable. Please share it with friends that you know have pets. Subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Facebook and hit that notification bell so you know when I post new content that you might find helpful. Until I see you next time, my beautiful friends, have a wonderful day with your pet. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you would like more support, ideas, guidance, frameworks, and some positive, uplifting suggestions, please check out some of my other videos. You can activate your subscription on my YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified when I post newer content. But those playlists are a framework for you to organize all aspects of your life to enhance your happiness and transform the life that you're living. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Until then, my dear friends, I hope you have a wonderful day.